Human rights groups have accused Israeli forces of using the chemical white phosphorus in Gaza and Lebanon. Amnesty International says it's verified videos showing white phosphorus artillery shells being fired by the Israeli army into civilian areas in Gaza. Its use in densely populated areas is considered a war crime. White phosphorus is used as a smokescreen or as a weapon. It ignites when exposed to air and it can burn through flesh, causing horrific deformities. We're going to bring in Donatella Rivera. She's Amnesty International Senior Crisis Advisor and she investigates war crimes and human rights abuses. She's joining us now from Dakar. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. How do you gather the evidence for this, first of all?
We've verified videos and still images showing the Israeli positions located just north of the Gaza Strip near Sderot, where we saw in images taken by a Getty photographer, Israeli military position with a howitzer, a 109 howitzer that fires 155 millimeters shells, artillery shells, and with artillery shells containing white phosphorus at the ready. And at the same time, we've verified videos showing artillery shells being airbursted with white phosphorus over Gaza City in at least two different locations.
Now, the Israeli military may say that, although they haven't commented on this, that they would be using it as a smokescreen, for example, which is one of the uses it can be put to. What is your interpretation of the pictures that makes you think that it was actually being used in a different fashion?
Of course, white phosphorus can and is often used as a smoke screen, but that is a use for the battlefield and not for areas that are populated by civilians, densely populated with civilians. The Gaza Strip is one of the most densely populated territories in the world. So white phosphorus should not be used in the Gaza Strip where there are so many civilians, and this is the areas where we verified the videos in Gaza City, the harbor area and the Zaytun neighborhood. These are areas that were full of civilians, so we're not talking about some locations which are a battlefield devoid of civilian population.
Do you have any evidence to suggest that anybody has actually been harmed by this?
We do not at the moment, and we have not suggested that we do. We note, of course, that the medical facilities are under terrible strain. And so we have not heard of any civilians having been harmed at this stage. The fact with white phosphorus, though, and we saw that very clearly when white phosphorus was used with devastating effects previously in the 2008-2009 conflict, when it was used, it took some time for doctors to recognize the burns as having been from white phosphorus, because at the time the Israeli authorities were denying having used it. In the meantime, patients died. White phosphorus can remain alive, hidden under soil or rubble. Basically, it burns at a very high temperature when it comes into contact with air. So I myself saw in Gaza at the time white phosphorus-soaked wedges that had been airburst from artillery by Israeli forces into Gaza that were hidden under sand, under soil, and then children and other passers-by kicked them accidentally as they passed, days and even weeks after. And of course, as soon as those came into contact with air, they reignited, and that's how people got burned.
I understand that Amnesty is continuing to collect evidence of this. What do you want to be done with the evidence that you've pulled together?
Well, this is just one of the concerns, one of the violations that we are investigating. We're investigating indiscriminate bombardments that are continuing to kill civilians in very large numbers. Entire families are being killed by bombardments on their homes, where the inhabitants of those homes and the neighbors are killed and injured in very large numbers. And so this is, part of the evidence that we are collecting. Of course, the first and most important and most crucial steps that needs to be taken is that such attacks that are so disproportionate and indiscriminate in nature must stop immediately, because the number of victims every day is enormous. And secondly, of course, those who are responsible for committing violations of international humanitarian law, some of which amount to war crimes, should be held accountable.
Donatella Rivera is Amnesty International's Senior Crisis Advisor. We appreciate you being with us on Al Jazeera, ma'am. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.